ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a Panasonic S1. This is also a secret prototype S1. Not the retail version, even the firmware got a beta firmware. It's 0.05 firmware. Panasonic happy to sign a document that I'm not going to talk about this camera before today. Not to show this to anybody. So I come to rooftop in Hong Kong because according to Hong Kong movie, all the undercover cops come to a rooftop to meet their officer. So this should be safe. Just hope that there won't be a fight breakout, then I will be good. Panasonic announced the S1 and S1R in last Volocina in 2018, their first ever full-frame mirrorless camera. Thanks to Panasonic New Zealand, I have got one for a few weeks to play with, a prototype. I've also got a chance to fly to Taiwan to shoot behind the scene of a commercial shoot by Daryl Carey. He was shooting with a prototype S1R and I was shooting with my S1. Daryl is a professional photographer, he owns a gallery, and he's the host of my 2 New Zealand workshops in New Zealand. And before I start, I have to thank you Adorama for sponsoring this channel, keeping me alive. Okay, this is the camera itself. It's not a small camera. For the weight, I think it feels like a APS-C DSLR camera. Well, maybe you will say, wow, mirrorless camera. Why would a mirrorless camera that big and heavy? Now, firstly, for full-frame camera, this is still lighter and smaller than DSLR full-frame camera. And secondly, light and small isn't the only advantage of mirrorless camera anymore. It's a concept of like a few years ago that mirrorless should be light and small. It's what it do, it's not the size, it's what it do, it counts. Now for a start, this is a magnesium alloy body, rugged, dust and splash proof. This is kind of like DSLR stuff. And when you hold on it, it gives you confidence because the grip is big. Well, if you haven't heard of it, this is an L mount. This is from Leica. With Panasonic, Leica and Sigma had an alliance that they will announce more lenses for L mount cameras. Now, this is in-body stabilized full-frame sensor. This is a S1. S1 got 24 megapixel, and then there's a S1R, which is 47 megapixel. It's almost like this day, all brands, when they will announce mirrorless camera, they will release a smaller megapixel one, good for video, and then a high megapixel one, good for high megapixel. And yes, in-body stabilization, sensor shift stabilization, 5.5 stop. And when you pair with an OIS lens, they combine with 6 stop. So let's look at what's on the body. On this side, this is a switch for 1 and 2, which is you can customize to anything you want almost. Now the lens is a 24 to 105 millimeters f4 lens, which is similar size to the Canon. You got a lock there and lock here, and then AF, MF and OIS on off. Pretty standard. On this side, on this really comfortable grip, down here you got 2 function buttons to customize to a lot of things. Here you got a dial, and then on top, huge LCD display, which is what people want. And also I always like the Panasonic way to put like white balance ISO compensation button up here, and then this is the same like the GH5, GH4. Love this a lot, really easy to access. And then on this side, modal, down there, it's a red ring. This is a new signature design of Panasonic. At the back of the camera, now the screen is a touch screen, and it's when they announced in Volocina, they said that this is a free access to screen. Now it turns out that it's flipped up, down, and just like Fuji on this side. Not to the other side, too bad. Here's a lock switch here, which you can customize it to lock what do you want. Default, it lock everything. The touch screen, lock all the dials. Good for video shooting. And I love this buttons arrangement. They all accessible with just your thumb. This is really easy to use. Record button here, this is to change focus mode, and then this is also a switch for single shot, continuous or MF. I like this more than changing the AF or MF on the lens. Now the AF and MF switch on lenses, on different lenses, they are on different position. But here, I would prefer to switch it here. This is so much more easier. What I don't really like is this directional button. All other buttons are really clicky, but this is just too less of the button travel, I think. And the back is quite easily got accidentally locked because it's quite not stiff enough, and then it's quite in a corner basically. But down here, everybody's favorite dual card slot with a lock. It supports SD card and then XQD card. So if you're like cheapskate like me, I don't want to shell out money for those expensive XQD card yet, so you can use SD card. And then later they will support CF Express. What's quite quite useful is that when you, for example, you take a lot of shots and then you open the door, it will give you an alarm sound so that you don't remove the card while it's writing to the card. Almost like those refrigerators that you forgot to close the door. Almost like Panasonic refrigerators. Okay, on this side there's a remote control, mic and headphone jack. The mic jack also supports line in. You can set it up in the menu. Down here, HDMI port, full size, and then a USB-C port. You can charge the battery with USB-C and also power the camera with USB-C. Also, when you turn it on, it will show you it got power, but it's not charging. But if you plug it in a more powerful charger, a PD compatible charger, it will show you it has power and charging while you're shooting with it. One really cool thing is that in the dark, when you turn on the backlight on the top LCD screen, at the back, some of the buttons lights up as well. You usually only got this on top of the line flagship DSLR. Now, as I mentioned before, this is still a pre-production model, a prototype, but I have to go down to the street to test it. Even though this is just a quick first look, but before that, Panasonic asked me to cover all the logos on it. Whoa, this place is dark. The shutter sounds really quiet and soft. So dark I have to put -1 EV to actually show how dark it is. That alley was so dark I barely saw the lady. Yet the S1 focused just as fast. Well, you could say just like any other modern mirrorless camera out there, they all focus as quick as DSLR these days. Now this camera again got the world's fastest AF, whatever that means, world's fastest full frame mirrorless, I guess. But what interesting is that it got AI, it got deep thinking, deep learning, that kind of deep learning thing. AI recognize people, recognize animals. Animals, that means cats, dogs and birds. Not all kind of animals like cockroaches or something like that. Usually when I heard about those AI whatever, I think, that sounds a bit suspicious. AI is all sounds very gimmicky, but I will show later it actually works really well. Now this is quite interesting. You can set it that it shows you the effect of your shutter speed. Like if, for example, now I set it to a slower shutter speed. It simulates the slow shutter speed effect you will get for this shot. I tell you what, it is heavy. It really feels like I'm holding a DSLR, especially after using it for an hour. Just an hour, it's like, oh my god. As I mentioned, it's quite silly to still think mirrors is all about lightweight. I mean, mirrors got its own advantage. Just okay. Continuous burst is not a speed demon. Continuous burst AFS 9 FPS, AFC 6 FPS. It's not too bad, to be honest. It's just their first full frame mirrorless camera. Give them some time. Maybe they will release a 9 or something like that. Yes, I mentioned I've been to Taiwan with professional photographer Daryl Carey.
No, keep your clothes on. No.
What happened? But anyway, he got the S1R, the 47 megapixel camera.
Really low. Really? The black one, yeah. Just grab it from the guy over there, the black one. Yeah. Thanks. You're not recording, are you?
Alright, the AI recognition is freaking amazing. I mean, it recognizes a photographer's side profile with a camera. But it looks like the AI thing actually works. Even I'm having half of the firmware. I'm using 0.5 firmware. It no longer just relies on face recognition. It just recognizes a person. Even this camera don't have any face detection AF points. You can see it will switch from recognize a person and then to face recognition. And then when the face is lost, it recognizes a person, even behind obstacles. And then when it recognizes two humans, you can tap which human to focus on, rather than just tap a focus point. You can even press the joystick to choose between two targets, just like playing a fighter jet game. But the things really impressed me is the IS. The IS works really well. It works almost like the GH5. Now don't forget, this is a full frame camera. The IS is as good as a GH5. The GH5 is a micro four thread camera, so much tinier sensor, and it's full frame. It still performs.
Hey mate, how are you?
Just as good as GH5. Now this is a 24mm, not very good for vlogging or holding it one hand like that. I better take off the USB power as well. I'm holding it, just walking it like that. The IS is great on this full frame camera. Oops. And Daryl have been shooting with the new 50mm f1.4 lens.
That is direct out of the camera. That is amazing. I've done no work to them. That's in the camera JPEG you're seeing. And that's at 1.4. Like I said, at 1.4, most lenses are not very sharp. This lens is outstandingly sharp. And there's no artifacts, is there? Like,
No,
we've not seen anything. No colour fringing around lights or anything.
No ghosting. Best thing of this 50mm, well, not best thing maybe because it's sharp, but look at that, this is, love this a lot. Aperture ring. And this pullback focusing. Linear. Now when they announced it in Photokina last year, they already announced that it can do 4K 60p. Well, kind of, but when it do 4K 60p, it will crop into APS-C. When you shoot 4K 25 or 30p, it will use the full width of the sensor, no pixel binning, use the oversampling, that kind of thing. So kind of similar to other top range mirrorless camera, but this one don't have recording limit. When you're shooting 25 or 30p, it's kind of like the GH5. You can shoot until your card full, until both of the card full and your battery die. Okay, you may think, oh, 60p is cropped into APS-C, but there is something that you don't expect. Later, there will be a firmware that I think it will be a purchasable firmware update that make it possible to do 4K 25-30p 10-bit 422 internal recording. This is never been done on any full frame camera. And with that, you can also do 4K 60p 422 HDMI output. Also, we can do HLG for your supported HDR TV, and then it gives you also the V-Log. So that's all for this first log of this Panasonic S1 and S1R. When I get the final retail version of this camera, I will test every aspect of this camera. Image quality, video, whatever, all of that. Now in the description box, I have listed out all the gear I used to make this video, and all of them are Adorama link because Adorama is the sponsor of this channel. Thank you again for them to sponsor this channel, supporting me to go on.